What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode and another week of the What the Puck podcast. I'm Nick. That's Gunk. Gunk, before we get into the bullshit, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic here. We are ready. I know I've had a wonderful week of hockey.
Oh.
You, not so much. But again, we're going to get into all the discussions of our local teams and Rangers Devils talk, a little bit of NHL. So, Nick, let's bring it home. Let's start with your team that
Ah.
feels, if I don't know why the Rangers fans feel like it's falling apart. He's got a great record. I mean, the couple losses here and there, but like I said, it feels like the Rangers fans are starting to come unglued a little bit. So give us your take there, bud.
Because I can understand where all these people are starting to come off as like seeming unglued because you're at a point now where you look at the beginning of the season, you look at the first 5, 6, 7 games, and you look at where you are now. It is a vastly different team than where you started the season with. I'm not sure if who we had out on the ice while we had all these injuries that had happened during the preseason, if that team was better, but I say we bring that team back. It's getting to a point now where it's not so much the record that Rangers fans are upset about. It's the team itself and the play on the ice, because the record doesn't mean anything
Right.
if the players on the ice aren't doing anything to contribute to it. The only way you're contributing to it is negatively. Losing two of your last three is not really ideal, especially like I was telling you before we hopped on. Winnable games. The game against Buffalo was embarrassing to garbage to watch. You watch this team falter early, not even a minute in, not even 30 seconds in, and it's off to the races from there. You can't do anything. You're just terrible in every part of the ice. Igor gets run out, and it just gets worse from there. And then you just have to hope to rebound and hope that you could keep going, and you do. You head over to Pizza Planet, you get a good win, and then you come back home, and you get a shutout. That should be all the momentum you need to go into a game against Winnipeg. But apparently, I'm wrong. Which I don't. How can this team that claims to have cup aspirations play like this? And then what bothers me, Laviolette shuffles up these lines, gets to a point where nothing makes sense, and then everybody's wondering why production isn't coming through. You know why production isn't coming through from parts of what used to be the first line. We've been on that, and I'll get to that again. You break up the most consistent line, one of the most consistent lines in Trocheck, Panarin, and Loff. So you lose an entire line of scoring there by trying to jumpstart one other guy. Your fourth line isn't doing anything, so that leaves you with the third line that's been the best on the ice that you can think of. The only teams, not the only teams, the only line on this team that is scary in any right is Cooley, Hedel, and Kako. I was giving
Yeah.
so much shit to Kako a couple weeks ago, and even last year. It should be directed onto so many other people. I mean, Kako's looked alright. He's looked pretty good. He's not
Yeah,
getting,
the third line's been helping you out for this little bit of a bad stretch you
yeah.
guys had.
And it's just like, I don't know where you have to start making moves. Like I saw on social media, do people need to start getting scratched? And honestly, yes. Yes. Um the two people that Rangers fans have been really hammering it in on recently is Mika Zibanejad and Keandre Miller.
Yeah, the
And
Zibanejad has been huge online, definitely.
it's Mika Zibanejad used to be one of the most dangerous scorers in the NHL 2 years ago.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And I don't even want him on the ice now. And then Keandre Miller is just another fucking pylon that we have on the back end. I'm not sure if it's because he dyed his hair to look like fucking Odell Beckham Jr., but you should catch a fucking one-way ticket to anywhere else.
Yeah, they were talking about this on one of the popular hockey podcasts about Keandre Miller has just as much talent as Adam Fox, but he just doesn't put it together like Adam Fox does. I mean, and they were debating this back and forth, and I could see their point of, you know, he has the skill to be a great player, but
Yeah, but
he's just
Fox
not
doesn't have to think about it.
right.
Miller
Exactly. I
has to
feel like
think
that's
about being good.
right.
And I feel like that's where my issue is because with Miller and Zibanejad, the other night, -4, both of them against Winnipeg.
Yeah, I was gonna
Minus
bring that up.
four. And with Mika, three of those minuses were giveaways directly related to him.
Yep, absolutely.
Like, what? And he did all of this in 20 minutes of ice time.
And wants more. He's been complaining about he's not getting enough
Oh,
ice time.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
I've been trying to skirt around that because that's just
I'm
been
sorry.
bullshit. But oh my, you
Hey, you
want
gotta bring
more
it up.
ice time? Here's his ice time from the last 5 games. November 12th against Winnipeg at home, 20 minutes and 20 seconds. Against Detroit and Pizza Planet, 18 minutes and 10 seconds. Against Buffalo, 17 minutes and 53 seconds. Against the Islanders, 19 minutes and 5 seconds. And against Ottawa, 18 minutes and 19 seconds.
You're playing high level forward minutes. I mean, yeah, how many more minutes can you give
If
the
you're
guy? I
playing
mean,
a collective period of hockey in a game, you're fine.
especially as a forward, especially as a forward.
Yeah, there's. You want to know who somebody who would kill for 20 minutes of ice time? Matt Rempe.
Absolutely.
He doesn't complain about his ice time when he gets 10 seconds a night,
Right.
15,
Absolutely.
25 seconds a night, and then sits for an entire fucking period. So what are you complaining about ice time for? You clearly aren't showing that you're deserving of more ice time.
Exactly.
Like if it
No,
were
I
up
was
to me and if I were Peter Laviolette, I mean, you're on the third line. You'd be getting third line minutes if this is how you're playing.
exactly.
I would bump up Trocheck, Panarin, and Loft to the first line, make the current third line the second line, and then you could toil away in the bottom fucking six. But I mean, it's starting to get to a point where it's ridiculous, and like he's saying that it's a mental thing, and like no shit, like we understand that, but I mean, I, come on, I have a couple things that he said here from a Low HUD article by Vince Mercogliano from yesterday. Mika said, "You have the mantras, you have the sayings to yourself. Forget about the mistake. Just next action, next game, next shift. It's harder than it sounds, but if I'm going to be like, oh, this is so tough, that it's not going to help me." Yeah, no shit.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not forgetting about the mistakes. You're not allowing the next action to be taken. And when you do decide to take the next action, it's another mistake. So you're not
Right.
going to be able to focus on the next game or the next shift because you're still focused on the mistakes you made in the last fucking shift or the last fucking game. So I don't want to hear, "Oh, you just got to forget about it," because you're not. You clearly haven't been forgetting about it, and it's been evident this entire season. So to try to say you have to just forget about it and try to move on, you could try, but you clearly have not been. And then he goes on to say, after practice yesterday, quote, "It's the hardest thing ever. I can't explain it. I can always talk. I can always answer your guys' questions to the best of my abilities to explain it. I will never be able to fully explain what it is when you're in the situation."
It sounds like word salad to me. It sounds like he's just trying to make excuses, trying to say the best thing possible, but it's
Yeah,
not coming out well because if you're going -4, why are you gonna put yourself on the ice, or why is the coach gonna put you on the ice if you're a -4 already?
because
You're trying to make a comeback. I mean, yeah, you're a good player, but if you're gonna be turning this over, you don't deserve the minutes. You deserve to give them to
exactly.
the minutes that the players that are actually playing and trying to pull this team up out of their current tailspin.
And
So
that's exactly where I'm at too. And what's bothering me so much about this quote is the last sentence. "I will never be able to fully explain what it is when you're in this situation." You easily can.
and for me, I feel like that kind of quote is almost like a hint, like almost like a I don't want to say an insult to Rangers fans, but I feel like it's a little bit of insult. Like he's basically trying to say you don't know what you're doing. I'm a player and I'm on the ice. I know what's going on, and fans have the right to express their feelings about how you're playing. And if you're not playing up to the standards, I feel like they should give you the crap that deserve. And if you're not playing up to the standards, then why would you give you ice time if you're -4? These people are scoring off your turnovers. This is not like you're turning the puck over and your defense is getting back. You're turning the puck over
At the
and
blue line.
it's leading to goals.
Yeah.
So why would a coach put you out there as a liability like that if that's the way you're playing? And yes, I understand that sometimes players got to work themselves out of slumps and out of situations like this, but you gotta do it with the time that you're given. You just can't. You just not. You shouldn't just be given time just because you scored all these goals and points 2 years ago. You got to work for any sport. You got to work as hard as you can every time you're out there. And if he's not giving it and he's making turnovers, you have to realize that as a player to you know kind of self-focus and bring it back and get out of this slump with the minutes that you're playing. You don't need more. You need to be effective in the minutes that you're playing.
Well, that brings me to my last point here, and the last thing he said. And it's quoted as, "I can bury myself in negativity and make it even worse, or try to learn from it and take the positives that were in that game. None.
None.
So good luck taking anything from that game. My job is to go out there and play a good game. You don't. Whether I have a great game the game before, you never do, or a bad game, you normally do, it doesn't change. You're expecting me, and I'm expecting myself to play well every night, and you don't. It's not going to happen every night. It doesn't happen any night, even as much as I want to, even as much as we all want it to, Mika. Fun fact, we want you to play fucking well. You're signed for $8.5 million.
Exactly.
But just play hard and have a short memory."
No, it's again.
Does this guy have a jar of Smuckers in his head?
Seriously, like
And have a short memory?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What
Yeah,
a
and
crock of shit. That is a nothing burger of a quote.
I'm sorry.
No.
But like, if it's in his head like this, that he's actually thinking about this, that's one of the things. It's not gonna turn around if you're thinking about it too much, because now you're adding. The game is so fast. You're adding an extra thought, an extra millisecond of thought to it. That could be the difference between a turnover and a nice little rush up the ice. I mean,
Exactly.
you gotta take the focus, and that's my point of what, when these players start slumping and they start losing their minutes because of this, they need to focus on working on the minutes that they have. Take advantage of the minutes that you have, and of course, your minutes will go up if you play well.
Absolutely.
When you're not
That's
playing well,
that's the whole deal. That's the whole gig of being
exactly,
in the National Hockey League. You play well, you are going to play more. That's
exactly,
what teams want. They want their players to play well. They want to give them more time to play. They want their fans to like these players because they are good. And I think that's the issue with Rangers fans. These players, they have the talent, but they're not good.
right,
You could tell me that doesn't make sense. If it does, I'm glad it does. They have talent, but they're not good.
right, and they're not living up to the expectations that they put on themselves. This is a self-inflicted wound. They put the pressure on themselves for this year, and these players know that this is coming to an end. You got Igor coming up with a contract. You don't know what's going to happen with that. Most likely he will resign, and we all probably know that. He will resign with the Rangers most likely. So your window for these players is closing fast, and it feels like the pressure's getting to them a little bit. I mean, yes, we're only a quarter of the way through the season, but like it feels like some of these players on the Rangers are feeling the pressure of, hey, we got to win now. This is the time. This is the year. We have to win now. And when you're losing to good teams like Winnipeg and you're getting beat down, I mean, and you're not up to the standards, which is the flip of what we're going to talk about with my team. I mean, it's I've again the confidence I've felt over the last couple games. Yeah, we had our little blip against San Jose. But if you watch that game, San Jose, we outplayed San Jose so bad in that game, and Blackwood came up so big in that game for San Jose, and they came back out the next game and put a hurting. I mean, really tough. Put a hurting on Florida. So my players are playing with confidence right now, where Rangers players are feeling that pressure of, this is where something's wrong, something's up. We're not playing up to expectations, and the pressure, it seems like it's getting to a couple of these players. And this is the thing where you do got to self reflect, but you got to self reflect and not come off like a diva.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's come across as a diva. I think he's just come across as, I guess, paranoid in a sense.
Paranoid
mean,
and the frustration.
yeah, and you can't have that. It's just going to make everything worse, especially when you should have a pretty solid showing tonight against San Jose.
Exactly.
And right here is going to wrap it up perfectly. It's from Arthur Staple of The Athletic and the New York Times. And then we can start talking about the Devils. And this is the last part of his article talking about the Rangers so far. And it reads, so here we are, 14 games in. The Rangers' record is very good. There are a few players with very good numbers. The very good play of that Hedel line, plus some very good play from Braden Schneider and Zach Jones has been welcome. Lots and lots of very good, and none of it matters if the team's defense and some of its key players can't get their acts together.
Exactly.
Well, break a leg tonight, boys, because another act is on. Let's fucking go.
That's it. You got to come out tonight, and you need to put this San Jose team away quickly. And if you let this linger, and it's going to be a close. I mean, like I said,
I want nothing short of murder tonight.
And I
want to see 8 next to the Rangers' name. I want to see demoralizing victory. Like, I want you to show Macklin Celebrini that he is not allowed back in Madison Square Garden. I want this Rangers team to show them that they are the Rangers. Because now, they look peewee.
Yep, absolutely. I can agree with you. Like I said, the couple highlights I've seen, like I said, I could follow it. And yeah, like I said, they need to come out tonight and really put a hurt on San Jose. And
I don't want to say it, but it's just like you gotta do the Cowboys thing of boot to ass.
Boot to A. Yep, there you go. Exactly.
And they get stomped out every game because you're the Cowboys.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you gotta hope for something. And right now, the fans of the New Jersey Devils were hoping for a more competitive team early on in the season, and they've gotten that in droves.
Oh, absolutely.
Currently having won 4 of their last 5.
Yep.
Take it away. I mean, you had a pretty good game against Montreal. Decent battle against the Islanders.
The Islanders game was fantastic. I mean, that I feel like if I can go back and look into the future and the success of this team, I want to go back to that Islanders game because that comeback was tremendous, and that showed as we talked about the Rangers not really like showing it. The Devils came out and showed it in that Islanders game. They were down, and again. I watch every game. They looked at when they got it to 3-1, they looked demoralized on the bench. They did not look. They came back. The leaders of that team. I'm talking about a Heischer. I'm talking even a Jack Hughes, a Jesper Bratt, a Timo Meyer. These guys are starting to step up and lead this team, which is what we want. The defense has been except for those 2 games early in the season against Washington and Tampa Bay. This defense is coming together so nicely. And it's the 6 of them. I mean, we can't even get Nemec in the lineup. We had to send him down to the AHL because he can't break this 6 defenseman lineup that we have. I mean, Siegenthaler and Kovacevic together, I mean, have been solid defensively. I think I watched when I was watching the game on ESPN Tuesday night. I think the stats were when Kovacevic and Siegenthaler are on the ice, the Devils are outscoring teams 16-3. I mean, or 16-6, maybe it was. They're outscoring them 16-6 when they're on the ice. And like I said, I saw the stat as I was watching ESPN, so take it for what it's worth. But I mean, something like that. I mean, their defense has been tremendous. I mean, the power play has been really good. I mean, they're fifth in the league in power play. Their like I said, I hate to be braggadocious this early in the season, but their penalty kill is one of the best in the league now. I mean, they went last year from it was an automatic power play goal most times for the other team. They have shut down that part of their game. Their special teams are really not to be quote, but their special teams are acting very special. And like I said, the power play is clicking on all units. And now we got Jack actually like playing like the Jack Hughes that we wanted. That he's not playing the timid game that we've noticed with Jack in the years. He has been tough, and I think it was the Montreal game. Yes, it was the Montreal game. 4-3, pull the goalie. Montreal is buzzing. Jack Hughes makes a tough play at the top of the line, gets that puck out, and they add the empty net goal. I think it was Paul Cotter put it in the empty net. But just if you watch it, just the defensive play he's playing is tremendous, which we never found out, that he actually had a defensive game. So, and the offense between, like I said, like we were talking about the switching lines, leaving Hughes and Bratt together has been one of the smartest things that Keith has done all year. Those two have been locked together, which in the last couple of years you've seen them try to split them up with trying to add like a Meyer and Hughes and a Heischer or something like that. But Bratt and Hughes together are like tremendous, and they are like peanut butter and jelly, like they say. They are peanut butter and jelly. I don't give a fuck what you look like. Fuck whatever you look like. The pass from the other night in Florida was tremendous. I mean, Bratt is skating. He's just backwards, waits for that lane, pops a perfect saucer pass. Hughes puts it in the back of the net. And that's, again, for Devils fans, that's what we've been looking for. And again, it feels like this team is the goaltending tremendous. Like I said, they had their little blip against, like I said, the Washington and the Tampa Bay game. Ever since then, it's been one goal against. They've been shutting out teams. I mean, it's been really, really like fantastic to watch that I feel like finally we got a solid two. I mean, 1A, 1B, solid goaltending in net. It makes me so thrilled to see them two playing so well. And I went back to the defense. The defense tremendous. Like I said, Pesci and Hughes together again. Like I said, I bragged about this last week. Luke Hughes just looks like a totally different player defensively with Brett Pesci. He has not turned the puck over as much. He's playing solid back defense. He's covering the net. He's clearing the net out. I mean, you got to give the kid credit. I mean, he's not putting up the points that he did last year, but his defense and his skill on defense is getting so much better. And like I said, together, and like I said, they're keeping, and that's the one thing about Keith I know was a big. I know a lot of Toronto fans complained that he was always juggling the lineup and juggling the lineup. But so far with the Devils, I mean, he like I said, he's kept excuse me, Hughes and Bratt together. You know, Heischer and Meyer he's been keeping together, even though, like I said, they've been switching up like the third winger most days. Some days it's Palat with Bratt and Hughes. Sometimes it's Mercer. Sometimes, and it's nice to have that little switch at your third spot where you have two solid players on a line, and you could add those little pieces. Like you see Paul Cotter out there with Hughes and Bratt. Sometimes you see him out there. Hughes with Heischer and Mercer's. Excuse me. Timo and Nico. Sometimes it's tremendous. Our fourth line has been tremendous. McDermott has been getting shots on. We have come to the conclusion in this house as Devils fans that we need Curtis McDermott to assist or score a goal this year. and it would be the loudest roar in this house. I don't know why. I just love the guy. The other night, Brendan Dillon has been a term again. Another, I hate to be braggadocious this early in the season,
Oh no,
but Brendan
please.
Dillon, Brendan Dillon has been such a great asset to this team. Did you see the fight against
I did.
67 punches between the two players? It was one of the classic hockey fights ever. And it was so good to watch, like old school hockey again. It was tremendous. Brendan Dillon, a A plus signing so far with them.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's not going to put the points up, but he brings something to this team that it lacked over the last couple of years, and that is grit and toughness. I mean, you can't go wrong. Paul Cotter, we got DJ Pauly C. Oh, DJ, I know you. I know again another one of those goofy things that you see online, but DJ Pauly C doing that, that's a meme at the Prudential Center right now. You know they're making up a graphic for that anytime he
Oh yeah.
scores. Because they have all those goofy graphics up, when the players score and stuff. So DJ Pauly C is definitely getting a graphic of some kind.
But now
But
I have a question for you.
sure, go for it.
With this Devils' success so far and their record, how much? Where do you think this Devils team would be without the coaching change?
I In all seriousness, I don't think they come together. I
Yeah, do you think they're in the same spot with an 11-6-2 record under Lindy Ruff that they do now under Sheldon Keefe?
No, absolutely not. No, he would have juggled the lineups too much. He would have panicked. He would have split up defense pairings. No, I feel like, and that was again, like, as I go back, like I said, a lot of I follow a lot of Toronto Maple Leafs TikToks and stuff that I
Hmm.
catch them. The main thing about last year when they had Sheldon Keefe like I said, as their coach, was he juggled the lines too much,
That was
which I
because
feel like.
nothing ever seemed to work for them, though. I feel like that wasn't a product of. I feel like that wasn't Keefe's fault. That was the team's fault, and also Brad Treliving giving him nothing to work with on the team.
Right, and absolutely. But again, if you look towards, like I said, if you look fan wise, and that's what I try to do. We as a podcast, we try to find our fans' perspective
Oh,
on
of
stuff.
course.
You know. So again, you're watching the Toronto fans on their TikToks or on their YouTubes, and you see them. They hated Keith and the way he did Keith and the way he juggled the line. So yeah, they didn't have the talent, but from a fan's perspective, they were blaming him. Whereas as he comes into New Jersey, and he hasn't really done that. Like I said, he's really kept the core together, and the core that is working together. And now you can see the success of them coming together. As they pair up. You know, they played a lot of games, so they really haven't had the practice time that a lot of teams have, because they have been on the road and playing
Hmm.
actual games and stuff. I think they're 4 or 5 games ahead of most teams' pace right now. So right now they're point collecting, which is fantastic. This is gonna They need to get a lead, especially ahead, in the standings. So when they start falling back, in games, and other teams are catching up to them, they have a little bit of a points lead. They have a little bit of a little bit of a ceiling, I would say. But no, I find, like I said, and I go back to, it's not the coaching, but it was the GM. It was Fitzgerald put this team together,
Okay.
and I feel like the moves that he made during the offseason, in combination with the coaching, I think has really solidified this team as not, maybe not a Stanley Cup contender right now. I think they're sixth or seventh in like a FanDuel, like, odds for the Stanley Cup. I think they're about sixth or seventh right now, which is right where I would put them. Maybe a little
Yeah.
lower. I mean, again, they haven't proven it in the playoffs yet, but for right now, as what, 18. I think we're at about what 18 games in for us.
You're at 19 right now.
19 games, yeah, 19 games, and we'll play game 20 tonight against Florida again. But I feel like this team is coming together. It feels like we're in line for a good run. Again, I go back to the Toronto fans' perspective as I watch their TikToks. Keith has not shown he has not shown the success in the playoffs as he has in the regular season. So for right now, Devils fans need to focus on every, of course we're gonna do the, every, we got to follow every game, all that stuff, one game at a time, one shift at a time, one period of time. I get that. But if you look as an overall fan, you have to be very happy with what the Devils are doing right now. And, you know, I feel like they're in a line to be a contender, but I'm not giving them the, oh my God, we're going to make this big run. I'm very cautious still. Again, and I go in as a fan because, again, fans are more, more laid back than like a team would be, Some people get super excited. Right now, my feeling is for the Devils, they're in a good solid playoff spot right now. If they keep playing the way they're playing, they're going to be in a good playoff solid spot. And then as the playoffs come, we'll see what happens, and we'll see how this team comes together in a playoff scenario. Like I said, and I feel good, and I feel the confidence because, like I said, on Tuesday when they played a team like Florida, the Stanley Cup champions, they came out and played one of their toughest and roughest games of the year. And like I said, they played so hard in that game, and that's their right there with in that game against Florida. I feel like is what their ceiling is, and if they can go past that ceiling, this is going to be a tremendous season. But for right now, they're right at the level of, like I said, like a Florida, like even maybe a little lower than a Carolina. One of those teams right now, they're not as high as like the Cup contenders, but they are at that second tier right now. I feel like if you're going by that tier level, I think they're right at that second tier where get into the playoffs and see what happens. So right now, like I said, as we talk in November early on, I have very very mixed feelings. I'm very confident, but I'm also very hesitant because I know what this team has done in past years, and I want to see it on the ice. I want to see it every game, and that's why I think I'm more excited this year for the season because I really don't know what's going to happen, every game, and the heart and the effort they have been given so far this year has really made me very positive about this team. Like I said, we'll see what happens. Like I said, they could go into a slump. They could bust out a winning streak. In this era of hockey, you never know what's gonna go, which way it's gonna go.
Mm.
You could, like I said, they had a clunker against San Jose. They came back. They got it back 2 days later, and they come out and beat the Stanley Cup champions. That I feel like is a very positive thing, just because of you had a low, you wallowed, you played one of the worst teams, you lost 1-0. It was a good solid game, like I said before. The Devils played a really good game in against San Jose. It wasn't one of those games where you're like, oh, we played so crappy.
No, it was a bad bounce.
It was a it was really a bad bounce. Nobody.
It was
Except
Timo
for
forgetting what team he was on.
Exactly, which was pretty funny for San Jose fans. I saw, like I said, a lot of San Jose fans making fun of that. Oh, he's still on the team. Oh, he's helping us out. He's still on the team.
Exactly.
But yeah, one bad bounce in that game, and like I said, and I had the feeling that if they would have beaten Blackwood, I think Blackwood would have fell apart because that's what he does. Because again, I've seen it firsthand. Blackwood, there's been first periods where Blackwood played really well, and you're so excited. He's got 15 saves. It's 0-0 tie, and then he gives up one, and then it's 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how he was. So, like I said, Blackwood played a tremendous game. Like I said, they peppered the hell out of him in that game, and he made some great saves in that game. So you got to give him credit. But again, I feel like, coming out of that game, the way they came out and played against Florida gives me hope, gives me positivity of, all right, guys, you had a blip. You didn't let it affect your team. You came out the next game against the Stanley Cup champions, who are one again, and they're again, as we talk about, they're one of the top tier teams. They're at tier 1. They're a Stanley Cup contender this year again. And you came out and you put a hurting on them. They made their plays. It wasn't like they played a bad game. Florida played a tremendous game in that game. But you came out and you did your job. And it was so refreshing to see. I was very hyped up about it. And I'm excited about tonight's game to see now. All right, you put you put a great game together against them once. Let's see now if you could do it again,
Mm-hmm.
because now we're getting into, can you do it a second time in Florida against that team? Because that's where you're getting into playoff scenarios where you want to see how this team does against a back-to-back game against the same team.
Yeah.
So if the Devs come out tonight and put the same effort and same, even if they don't win, if they just put the same effort and the same quality they've been putting together, I'm going to be really confident going into a playoff series, because you played 2 straight games against the Stanley Cup champions, and you put out the effort, and you took one, or if you take two, you take 4 points from them, you take 3 points from them. Even if you, again, like I said, even if you lose tonight, say like a 4-3, a 3-2, the way you played, if you play up to the way you've been playing, I'm going to be very happy about it.
All
But
right.
like I said, tonight's going to be tremendous for in the Devils' perspective of, let's see how they come out after a super success.
Well, we will be able to talk about all of that next week when we join you for another episode. So hopefully, I am not pulling all of my hair out and bald come next Thursday, and the Devils are able to beat Florida.
There you
So,
go.
gang, hopefully you stick around for all of that and hopefully more as we keep rolling through the NHL season. This has been
Yep.
another episode of the What the Puck podcast from Nick, and that's Gunk up there as always. Gang, we love you. Make sure to check us out on all of our social media pages at What the Puck Pod. Have a good week. We'll catch you later. Peace.
Peace in hockey, baby.